Hi there, my name is Stephen from SteadyMaker, and what I'm going to show you is our latest product. It's called the Extreme Handles. Now, as the name might suggest, this is primarily an addition and extension for your SMG EXTREME stabilizer. However, these handles can also be used in any situation. You can use these to stabilize a handheld rig, for example, a shoulder-mounted rig. You can use these just with a camera attached to them to give yourself more stable shots. Now, with most stabilizers and with handheld rigs, for example, there is an issue with your up and down bounce. Whenever you move forward with a stabilizer, for example, very fast running, or if you're going upstairs, you can still see some up and down bounce in your stabilizer footage. Also in handheld rigs, when you're moving around with them or just holding a camera, you can see a lot of bounce in handheld footage. There are ways to minimize this. For example, a very good shooting stance. We have another video explaining how to use a stabilizer and a good way to minimize the up and down bounce, but you will still probably see this in your footage. You can also stabilize this in post-production using some smoothing software like Warp Stabilizer built into Premiere and After Effects, for example. However, we are selling a mechanical option called the Extreme Handles. Now, the Extreme Handles work in the same way that traditional Steadicam arms work. They have a spring and a hydraulic connection that will counteract the movements that you make when holding the handles. If you look at the central attachment, it has 4 hydraulic pumps with some oil filled inside the chambers and 4 springs. This dampens the up and down bounce movement that you make with a rig or a stabilizer or a camera. If I show you the flex in them, they are designed to flex up and down when you're using your stabilizer in everyday movement. So this is the central component of your Extreme handle setup. You also have 2 handles that you will attach to the sides. I'm going to do that now. Very simple screw attachments. So you just screw the handles until they're tight on the ends. And that's one in. Then I'm going to screw the second one in. And screw the other handle into place. You just slide it on and then make sure that the handles are nice and snug. Make sure that they're the same distance from the center and tighten up the red ends to the handles. Now you have your handles and your dampening attachment in the center. You will also have a screw thread mount that you would use through the center. You see there's a hole in the center here. Push your screw thread mount there, and this would attach to your camera in the tripod mount, or you can put a base plate on here, or you can attach it to the bottom of your SMG EXTREME using the screw thread on the bottom of the main handle. As these are extreme handles and primarily used as an accessory for your SMG EXTREME, I'm going to show you how that attaches there. So you just screw on the screw thread. You want to make sure that it's in the center, that the handlebar, that the on-off switch is pointing towards you and the silver button is pointing away from you. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then you see you have a handlebar attachment that will dampen the up and down movements when you're holding your stabilizer in the handles. Now you can use this in upright mode. You can also use it in inverted mode. Again, you'll see that it still maintains, and it will minimize the bounce that you have when you're moving with your stabilizer. Just like pre-balancing your camera in your stabilizer is important, pre-balancing your extreme handles is just as important when using this setup. In order to do that, you will see on the ends of the 4 screws there is a blue thread that you can rotate, and this will tighten or loosen the tightness, the strength of the springs. 4 springs. If you tighten the springs so that they're compressed, it means that it will minimize the bounce. This is for heavier loads. And if you loosen the threads, this will give you longer springs. This will make the springs looser and allow more bounce, more flexibility. It depends on the load you have. And what you will need to do is experiment with tighter or looser setups to minimize or allow bounce in your extreme handles, and find the sweet spot that works for you, depending on your payload, depending on your setup. Like I said, this doesn't just have to be used with the stabilizer. This can be used with a shoulder-mounted rig or just a camera on its own. And again, you adjust the screws to find the sweet spot, to find the best situation for the payload, for the weight. You don't need to use these with the mini tank because they have encoded motors, and the encoded motors will minimize the bounce. However, with a stabilizer like the SMG EXTREME, with 32-bit motors, this will give yourself a little extra stability using these handles instead of the handles that come already with your Extreme setup. So don't forget, depending on your setup, to tighten or loosen the springs. Make sure you have the correct power to the springs, and experiment with what works for you, what gives you the right amount of bounce to minimize your forward movement. Find a comfortable position for them, and this will enable you to have more shooting options.